Back out here on the mill again. I got it started and warmed up. Got my son to help me put those slabs up on there, and it just about did me in. I back pretty bad after that. It's been a couple days and it's still not treating me very well. Oh, I didn't do anything yesterday. I had to fly yesterday and got a few hours of flying in. So last night it turned off, and something's after the dog there. Bug, I guess, or something. A nice day yesterday. Got up to 73 degrees here actually in the afternoon. Overnight it poured down rain. It wound up raining about half an inch or so overnight, and drizzled a little bit this morning. And so I did some inside work today. I finally got the paperwork all done on the airplane. Seems like it takes more work to get the paperwork done than it does to work on it, but I got that all together and got it on there. And then I was going to run to town. In fact, I did run to town. I was going to do a little tinkering on the plane, and I got to town. It was raining in town. I didn't feel like working on it, so come out here and do a little bit of this before it starts raining here. I can see a big rain shower down to the south of us moving this way. Hopefully it either goes by or I get done before it gets done. So anyway, I got the 3 flitches on there, and I don't know how they're going to turn out. That one's pretty nice. I'm going to get at least a 2x6 out of it down, but that's got a big check in it. And the other 2, anyway, I'll get some nice boards out of those somewhat. We'll see what happens. Oh, I put a clamp on the other end down there to hold them together so it holds them up. I got another clamp. I'll have to come down and clamp on this end, and I'll start buzzing those up. What's the matter, Saki? So I think I'll cut those down 3/4 of an inch till I get down to where I'm starting to get into good wood on all of them, so I can make stickers out of them. The rain shower just turned into a sprinkle, but it's still too much to leave the camera out. I just didn't get too wet out here keeping working. But this is not a waterproof camera by any means. It's not a GoPro or any of those others. I don't have a case for it, so I'll put it away. Now I got 6 2x6s out of those 3 flitches. 4 of them are really nice, and the 2 of them that came off of that outside flitch got a little bit of wane on them. The one on this end here has got a little bit of wane on it, but that by the time I cut that off, that's 14 feet. By the time I cut that back for the 12 or the 10, it'll be really nice. Plus, this side with the wane can go face up or face down so it doesn't show. That's the same with this one. This one is the one that had that cat face in it, that broken off branch, and that's ugly on this side, but it's not bad. It's pretty nice. Let's see here. It's pretty nice. It's got a little blue stain in it and stuff, but that'll be fine. So if it's set like that on the deck, that'll be really nice. It's pretty. So like I said, I got 6 2x6s and a passel of stickers. Now that's not near enough stickers not for what I've got cut yet, and I've still got a lot more to cut. Oh, I get these yellow cedar all cut up, and I got to cut up some spruce and some red cedar and some other stuff, so there'll be a lot more cutting to do here, and all of it's going to need to be stickered to get dry. So that leavings there, this are fine for stickers. It's not much good for anything else. I could have probably made a 2x4 out of those, one of them or a couple of them, but I really don't need any yellow cedar 2x4s either, and I do need stickers. So. And then we leave a 2x1, 1x2 on the bottom there. And of course the one on this side is pretty crappy, but they don't hardly count. But that's what's left over, because that's as deep as I can cut on that bed without cutting metal. Okay. Well, I've still got some more flitches in there to get stacked up, but I'm not in any shape to go picking around those and humping them around, so maybe when my son gets here, we'll see if he can help out and get those up there, but I need to rest up for a few days here. I think I got to fly now. I've got to keep in shape to be flying, so I don't want to be screwing my back up for that. It's the next day, a day later, after doing those last 3 flitches. I kind of worked my back to the maximum extent I could yesterday on those. I had my son dig out these other flitches and put them on top so I could get those worked up. Well, I put 2 of them up here on the mill, get ready to whittle those down. This third one here just is not, it's just got too much taper in it to gang cut with those other 2. So I'll have to do it separately. I'm going to have to sit it on there and then block it up on the other end to get it up to where the grain will run straight on it. I'll probably only get 1 2x6 out of it. That one's got some rod in it and the wane and stuff, and just the way the taper is on it is just not going to give me much else but a 2x6, while I could get a 2x8 or a 2x10 out of it. So then he pulled this one over to the side. This one has just got wane on it. I got a 2-inch on this end, but it only goes up about 4 feet, and then it just turns off into rind on there. We just got that one out of the way so my wife could use it for something. Well, I was still using that old blade. I got so much of that rind to go through that I didn't want to put a new one on there and dull it up, but I should have went ahead and changed it. That one popped off and now that blade's ruined. So I'll have to change blades now. I cut those 2 flitches down by 3/4 of an inch at a time till I got to 13 1/4, and then I made a cut at 7 1/4, which give me 2 pretty nice 2x6s there. A little bit of wane on that 14-footer, but that'll cut back to a real nice 2x6 12-footer or 10-footer, so that's not a loss there. And the 16-footer is real nice. And I flipped those 2 over to take the wane off of the other side, try to get as much as I could out of there. I took a 1/2 inch off to take it down to 6 3/4, thinking I could get a 3/4 inch sticker out of that, which I did, but then that didn't really give me a good 6-inch board. So it's too much wane on this one outside. It'd be a good utility 2x6, but the 16-footer there, that one just had too much sapwood in it and rod in it, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. I've got it now down to 5 1/2. If I take it down to 4 3/4, that'll give me another 3/4 inch sticker, and then take it down to 4 inch, then I'll have 2 good 2x4s and a couple stickers. So I got to cool her off and shut it down now to change the blade. I got the blade changed and ready to get going again. Now that blade broke. It didn't just come off. I thought it came off, but it broke. And it did it when it was running back there running. Wasn't in the cut or anything. It's when I pulled it back to the end down there to get it to reset it. So it had too much stress on it. That's what you get for trying to be parsimonious and save a blade, is you lose a blade. If I'd have changed that blade out when it first got dull before I ever started this, it would have saved that blade, and I could have sharpened it at least another time and used it. But I'm not too disappointed in that, because that blade is one that I've been fighting. I've sharpened it 7 or 8 times, so I got pretty good life out of it. And it had some other stress cracks in some of the other gullets other than where it broke, so it was getting to the end of its life. And I know that because that's a blade that they didn't get the teeth lined up correctly on when they welded the blade together, and I fought that son of a gun every time I've sharpened it. Swore about that every time I've sharpened it, so I don't have to sharpen that one anymore. But we'll get busy and get these two whittled down and get some usable material out of them. Well, I was shooting for good high quality 2x6s. I got quite a few of those, and then I got some that aren't quite so good that are still utility grade. And I could have left those two 2x6s as utility grade, but they wouldn't even have been very good. That one had some rot in the sapwood on it, on the cadmium layer, and the other one had some pretty sharp wane, the full length of it. So I wasn't too thrilled with those. I've got plenty of 2x6s. I decided to salvage and make some other nice boards out of it, and I wound up with two really nice 2x4s as well as some much needed stickers, and I needed the stickers, so that's not wasting the wood any. That's a good use for that wood, is the stickers. So that new blade cut like a dream, of course, and I cut twice as fast with it. It cut down the whole length of that a lot faster under full speed, where I was slowing the other one down. But you can maybe see the difference here. This is the new blade cut. It's pretty smooth. It's a little bit rough here because the boards are bouncing around a little bit. But this is the old cut, and you can see the saw marks across it here, and it's kind of wavy. This one doesn't show up quite so much. Let's see if we can get down here now. Anyway, it doesn't quite show up quite so much as some of the other ones did. Anyway, that was not too big of a deal because we're going to run all of those 2x6s through the planer and the jointer anyway, and that'll all get trimmed up, but it just makes it easier to trim up if there's not big waves and stuff in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that other flitch on there and set it up and cut it up, and I'm only going to get one 2x6 out of it. I might get some more stickers out of it. You see I've got some rot right here in the cadmium layer in the rind, inside the rind, and it's got a lot of wane on it. You can see how far the wane goes on that on both sides. And it's got a big bell down on that end on the one side. The other side over there is fairly straight, so I'll lay that side down on the mill. As a matter of fact, it's got a cut down there on the edge, 90-degree cut down there on that end. So I'll lay that edge down on the mill and start whittling this side down. I'll probably go ahead and do it. Once I get down to where I can get at least 4 feet out of it, I'll probably make stickers out of it as much as I can. And that will finish me up on the yellow cedar. Well, not quite, because some of these slabs here, like that one right there, are pretty thick. And my wife wants to use those for garden beds and stuff and other things around here. So there's a few of those I want to go ahead and put on the mill and trim them down a little bit to make them a little lighter and easier to use, more manageable. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to keep that old blade on there, so I didn't, because I'm going to go going through the rough wood, a lot of cut and wane on those, and I didn't want to sacrifice a new blade on it. But that's the way she goes. First your money and then your clothes. And that'll do it on the yellow cedar. And then I'm going to start sticking some spruce on there and milling that up. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is cut stickers with that spruce, because as I said, we need a lot of stickers. I got a pretty good pile of them there. Some of those aren't going to be any good. They'll be cut-offs. But we got a pretty good stack of them going there, but that's not going to be near enough for all the wood I've got. And then I'm going to mill up some red cedar 1-inch boards for ceiling on the porch and other uses. And those will all need to be stickered. And then I've got all of these flitches. They need to be stacked up and stickered. So there's a lot of stickering needs to be done. That didn't exactly turn out the way I'd hoped it was going to. That slab, that flitch on there was just no good. That's the one I cut off of that second to the last log that I did. And it had a big cat face on it and a big defect on it part way down, and this slab is what I cut off of that after I thought I'd cleared that up. But the defect went all the way through the slab, through it widthwise. It didn't show on either side, but once I opened it up, the split was in there and it went all the way through the whole thing. I'm not going to get anything out of that. I thought I might get a 2x4 out of it, but I'm not even going to get a 2x4 out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and whittle that down and make more stickers out of it, I guess. So you can see even the stickers I got out of it aren't that good. They've got that split coming apart there. But they will be usable. I can make stickers out of them. The stickers only have to be about 4.5 feet long, and they don't have to be perfect anyway. They're just to hold the wood apart so the air can circulate through it. And I'm thinning out my blades. There's another one bit the dust. That one broke. I think that's the third one. I don't know whether that's the third one or fourth one that I broke here in this little episode of cutting these timbers. And that one, like the last one, just broke spontaneously. It was down there on that end and just sitting there idling when the thing broke. So I guess its time had come. A lot of these blades I've used a lot. Like that last one I used, I've sharpened it 7, 8, 10 times. I don't keep track of how many times I've sharpened it. I don't keep track of which blades I've sharpened how many times, but the last one I know I'd sharpened a bunch of times because it had a gap between the teeth where they welded it together, and it was a pain in the butt. I had to manually push it through the automatic sharpener feed every time it come to that tooth. So I fought that thing for several years, and I'm finally done fighting with that one. So this one's probably in the same category of that. It's just been used so many times. The fatigue limit has been reached on these, so got to change the blade again, and we'll see how long the next one lasts. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and change the blade and whittle on this thing some more and get some more stickers out of it. Done cutting up yellow cedar for a while. Well, actually that's not true. I'm done milling up yellow cedar for a while. I still got some to cut up. I've got all those stickers that I cut that I've got to cut up into lengths 4.5 feet long to sticker all that wood with. I still got half a dozen or more over there on the mill deck to move over with the rest of them. And then we got all these slabs to cut up for firewood. That'll all be cut up, stacked up in the woodshed for firewood. Oh, and then, like I said, we got, well, all that pile of flitches there. I'm not going to do anything with those right now. I've got lots of flitches stacked up around here in piles that can be cut down into usable 1-inch boards. Too bad I don't have an edger saw, one of those multi-gang edger saws to go through those. It'd go through them pretty fast, but there's a pretty good pile of 1-bys there. I still got more in the stack in the pile with the 2-by and 6-bys and the 4-bys and all of that stuff. So we'll get those stickered up and stacked up someplace, get them covered up out of the rain and the direct sun. And then I'm going to stick one of those spruce logs that I got that I saved out from cutting up for firewood. I'm going to stick it on the mill, and I'm going to cut some more stickers with it. Well, I loaded one of those little spruce logs up on that mill, and I was going to cut it up into 2-inch strips and make stickers out of it. But once I got it up there, this log isn't really that bad a shape, so I decided to go ahead and make something else with it. I need timbers, sleepers, to put underneath these units of lumber when I stack them up. So I put 6x6s down on the ground and then 4x4s or something like that in between the layers, so we can get the forks of the forklift in there to pick up the different layers. So I figured I'd go ahead and do that with this. So I've got it faced up on 3 sides. I took pretty thick cants off of there because rot goes pretty deep in there in some of that. But anyway, I took faces off the slabs off of 3 sides, faced them off, and then I took one 2-by flitch off of there, off of the one side, and that left me 12 inches, which I split in half into 2 6x6 cants, which I've got rolled up there now. So I can go ahead and make 6x6s out of that now. Now, spruce is not the ideal wood to lay down on the ground. It has no decay resistance at all, and this stuff's already starting to rot. But we really didn't want to waste any good yellow cedar on that, so this will work for that. It was kind of a throwaway log anyway. Well, it's amazing the difference between the spruce and the yellow cedar. You can tell immediately the difference in the smell when you cut into it. And then this wood is a lot softer, and surprisingly it cut pretty good. That blade is the one I put on there to finish up that last flitch making the stickers out of, and I made several cuts on it, and then my son used it to clean up those slabs, yellow cedar slabs, and that was cutting through Wayne on everything. And I was really surprised. This blade is cutting pretty good, but the first few cuts on it, I was getting almost no tear out on this spruce at all when it's going through it. It's starting to get a little bit now, but of course I went through quite a bit of wane. I cleaned the rocks and dirt off of it the best I could, but I always get a little bit in there still. So I drug out this big slab, big plank. It's about 24 inches wide. It's a yellow cedar plank that I had here on the log deck, and I put a 2x4, clamped a 2x4 along the long edge of it, another one here on the short edge of it, to make kind of a jig for cutting up those stickers. And I had that one by spruce that I just cut that was kind of rotten, not very good. I cut it up, laid it out on that plank there so that when I could cut through with the chainsaw, cut the stickers off to length with the chainsaw, I wouldn't be cutting into that plank. Stacked all the stickers up there and got them all cut up into 4.5 foot lengths. I threw them over there in a pile next to my wood pile. And that was going to be that. Then I got to thinking about it. I've got all of that yellow cedar 2x6s all cut up, as well as the 4x6s and 6x6s. And I just had them stuffed over there in a pile in my wood shed there, my drying shed. They were all stacked up, and they weren't just kind of stuffed in there. They weren't stacked very well. But I decided that stuff needed a chance to get air dried out. And it's not going to dry properly if it's all just stacked up one board on top of another in a pile. Well, I went ahead and got some of those 6x6s that I just cut up off of that spruce and laid them out there on the ground and found a spot where they're not going to be too badly in the way for a while, and then started pulling those 2x6s out and stacking them up. And I've got them 8 across, which would be 4 feet wide, and then I've got them 10 high. So there's 8 across and 10 up, so that gives me 80 of those, and about 10 of those are not suitable for what I need. So I've got at least 70, and I need 32, maybe 33 for the deck and 17 for the ceiling, so that gives me plenty of them for that, even with a couple extra milled up for just in case you get some of them screwed up or something. I got them stickered up. The stickers are 3/4 of an inch thick, 2 inches wide. That gives airspace between each one of those boards so that they're not one's not resting on the other, so the air can go through them and help dry them out. And then the boards are spaced a little bit in the stack between each other so that air can go up through them all the way around each board, and that should help dry them out. And I went ahead and took all those flitches that I had piled up over here and stacked those up on there too. And again, they're stacked up and stickered so that they can dry out. We dug out some old roofing tin. We salvage roofing tin from jobs, or we have for in the past, just for this kind of purpose. But that works good to lay on top of that unit, that stack, to keep the sun off of it and to keep the rain off of it and allow the air to circulate through it. Well, this is my drying shed that I built many years ago. It's just got some yellow cedar poles, uprights, and some yellow cedar across the top and rafters, some salvage tin on top of it, and I built 2 racks in there, or 4 racks in there to stack lumber up in. And I when I was first started milling it, I would stack it up in there and sticker it in each one of those. But that shed's got to come down. I've got to fill all that area with rock so that I can get back over to the other side of it and put my septic tank system in over there and my drain field. That's all going to go over on the other side of that shed. So that's all got to be taken out of there, and then we'll start hauling rock and filling that in. And I also need to build a shed someplace, covered area someplace to stick that stuff in. So we'll just keep milling and working on things until we get everything lined up to do that. Well, I kind of got that cleaned up there a little bit. I got all the yellow cedar put away except for these few pieces here. It's just mostly scrap pieces there. Well, I took and moved my logs around a little bit. I've just got the 4 logs left there, and so I moved those around so they weren't sticking out into the driveway so bad, and I cleaned up. They're kind of over a ditch, a drainage ditch. A creek runs down through there. That bark had all come off of those and was kind of laying down in that creek and piling up. So I moved those all out of the way and pulled most of the bark out of there. Well, that's better. So my cedar pile is dwindled. I think I'm done cutting yellow cedar for a while. I still got a big pile of, those are mostly spruce logs up there, and I don't know how many of them are any good because they've been there for a while. They're probably not much good anymore. But I got to pull those out of there and see what I can salvage out of those and make some posts and stuff to build a framework. I've got trusses that I've saved off of a old hangar that we tore down, and I've got some scissors trusses off of it. They're 37 feet span. Those will work for a roof, and then I'll have to mill up enough lumber, timbers and stuff to make a timber frame to hold that up, and then I can get all the stuff in there stacked up underneath a new dry spot, and then we can do something else.